And welcome to episode 12 of the best podcast available, Training Camp Edition. A beautiful Saturday, the final Saturday in August, Gribs. The sun came out. The sun is shining. It's not 90 degrees, a nice breeze, a beautiful day for football here in Berea as the Browns able to get back on the practice field after needing to build an ark yesterday with the amount of rain that was dished out from Mother Nature.
Yeah, really a good test for the Browns practice field. It looks like they held up all right. I didn't walk through too much water to get to our viewing spot today, but yeah, it feels a lot more like football weather. It feels like the transition into football season. We've gotten maybe through some dog days training camp weather, and now the guys are back on the field. And I think that today's practice, I think, was reflective of getting ready for a big Sunday. And I think that's why, maybe the on-field activity was not as, as prevalent and notable today as it has been in the past two practices. But I think that's why they're getting ready for tomorrow, which is a kind of a key moment here in the build-up to the season.
No question about it. I mean, the team in shells today. No B.J. Goodson, no Chris Hubbard. I don't believe we've gotten any updates yet, unless you have gotten anything coming across your desk. So still no Greedy. And Njoku did some work inside, it looks like. He was not out on the practice field today. Adrian Claiborne was back, though. Good sign for the Browns. Jarvis Landry with a couple of big catches. Terrence Mitchell continues to impress. But in shells, a lot of maybe situational work, it seemed, from where we were at from very far away. But looked like the Browns just getting in some work today, and as you said, getting ready for the big day on Sunday at First Energy Stadium.
Yeah, today it seemed like they've had a couple good days leading up to this, and it just seems like today that they're kind of pacing themselves and getting ready for what I imagine would be tomorrow in pads and in the stadium, and kind of getting used to going there. I think a lot of these guys, this will be their first time in that stadium, and just a lot of players and getting used to maybe the new game day routine. I'm curious, how do you get all 80 players in that locker room? Is there a socially distanced setup in that regard? How are they going to spread them out and kind of make the most of that one field that they'll be playing on? It'll be interesting to see, but I think it's just another reminder that this season is right around the corner. And I think that they've got they're treating this like this is just a step in the process. I mean, you've got to know where to go when you get to the stadium. You don't want to be lost. You just got to find out some logistical things. You have to figure out how to go through the tunnel. You have to figure out all those little things that we seem to take for granted. And I think it's big for coaches as well, orchestrating how you want to work the sidelines, how you want to do all that kind of stuff. I mean, it all plays into kind of the magic that people see on Sundays. And sometimes you have to practice this stuff as mundane as it might seem.
Yeah, I mean, even from just the warm-ups, you know, usually every coach – at some point, they have a practice where it's game conditions coming out 60 minutes before. You're coming out, you're doing your group work, then you're doing your team work, and then whatever else you need to do. And at the 25-minute mark or the 30-minute mark before kick, then you bring everybody back inside, and you know what those next steps entail, just so everybody knows, especially for rookies. I mean, Gribble, I don't even know how we're getting to the press box tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow's a bit of a mystery for me. I'm just we'll see. I mean, I'm kind of it's going to be a weird, just kind of a different setup, and I think that's the mystery of all this, and it's the mystery of this entire season.
Yeah,
we've been talking every day about the radio broadcast and all like the little things that go into what we consider a normal NFL Sunday. It's just nothing's the same.
Yeah, and really a peek behind the curtain, we're not allowed on the field level. Normally, our credentials get us basically everywhere, except for one or two discrete areas. We won't even be on the field level. We're not near the locker rooms. We're not anything. We basically have to go upstairs and around, and if you're not in Tier 1 or Tier 2, you are nowhere near the playing surface. So it's going to be interesting to see how it looks tomorrow and see what these guys do. Coach Stefanski did say, I mean, for the most part, it's going to be a practice at the stadium, but they're going to get into a few things toward the end of practice, maybe some situationals and some 11 on 11. And we'll see what this team looks like and get a quick glimpse with 2 weeks to go before kickoff with the Baltimore Ravens. Anything else that stood out to you today, or anything else before we get in to the guys that talked before practice, because they might end up being the bigger story, I think, than what happened on the field today?
Yeah, there was a couple of moments. I thought one, from our vantage point, it looked like Baker threaded like a 25-yard pass to Taywan Taylor that the defense thought they might have had a chance to get intercepted, because they reacted like they got excited to potentially pick it off, but it looks like Baker threaded it in there and Taywan had a nice catch. And then at the end, Austin Seibert made all his kicks, and you like to see that. It was a good way to kind of end the practice, and it looked like from our vantage point, Seibert, I believe, made one from either deep 40s or early 50s, and I think it was good to see from a kicker who, last year at training camp we were kind of worried. It was kind of a not exciting kicking competition because both guys seem to be missing more than they were making. And I think that this year Seibert isn't in a competition. He's really just forcing the issue with himself. And from our vantage point, he's made most of his kicks, and I think that's good to see going into his second season.
Yeah, I would agree with that. All right, so the guys that talked earlier in the day, our new linebacker Malcolm Smith talked. Bill Callahan, the offensive line coach, and the wide receiver pass game coordinator Chad O'Shea, who was on the BPA yesterday, talked along with Coach Stefanski. Let's start with Coach Callahan. He had some interesting things to say, especially as it pertained to our number one draft pick, Jedrick Wills. Well, your thoughts on what Coach Callahan had to say?
Well, I thought it was just a frank assessment of the situation. I think as anyone has envisioned, this is not the ideal situation. And I think even, you go back to 2007, if this was the situation that Joe Thomas faced going into his first NFL game, it wouldn't have been an ideal situation. So it's just one of those things where you're going to have to kind of take the lumps and roll with it. And as Kevin Stefanski made clear, Jedrick Wills is their guy. They're not just going to plug in someone else just because they have more experience going into game one and trying to get him ready behind the scenes. They're throwing him right into the fire. And I think that shows me that they're confident enough in what they've seen from him and in the positive moments. And now it's just a matter of minimizing the negative and getting him as sharp as possible. And they're doing that with, just a whole lot of Olivier Vernon, who has practiced every day and given him a lot to work with. And I think that's basically what we're going to have to understand going into the season, that Jedrick Wills is going to be a much different player week 8 than he is week 1.
Yeah, it will be on-the-job training.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way to describe it. Other takeaways from Coach Callahan today?
Well, I think that, again, high praise for Nick Harris. And I think that's another rookie that's going in there who now, as we talked about this yesterday, but the days are winding down until the opener, and we still have not seen JC Treader out there. So every day it becomes maybe more and more of a possibility that Nick Harris is going to be out there week 1. And everything you've heard about the kid, and we've talked to him before, he's an impressive guy. And I think he's really adjusted both mentally and physically to the new position. And I think that it's a testament to him that we haven't been talking about him too much, because I think he's doing a pretty good job. So we'll just keep our eyes on him and keep our eyes and see if we see JC out there anytime soon, but it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, Nick Harris getting a lot of praise from a lot of the coaches, and one only hopes that progress continues here, because again, he could be thrown into the fire 2 weeks from tomorrow. Chad O'Shea talked. Big takeaways from Coach O'Shea. I know he had a lot of praise for Kaderil Hodge, a guy that's he's gotten a lot of praise from a lot of people this week.
Yeah, and I think the interesting thing is I came away from it counting, because I think the big storyline with him is the fact that we're not really clear on who the third receiver is on this team. And I came away with it thinking that there are 6 candidates still for the job. I mean, I don't know if I'm over counting, but it may be at least 5, because you're talking about Rashard Higgins, Damian Ratley, Taywan Taylor, Kaderil Hodge, and Donovan Peoples-Jones. So that is 5. And I think we've seen all those guys out there in some capacity with the first offense at some point in camp. I mean, they just keep rotating these guys. So there's really no way you can just look out there and see who you think is going to be the player. But we clearly think Rashard Higgins has the edge from an experience factor, a chemistry factor. But when you hear him mention all those other players, I mean, and then watch what you've seen at practice, it wouldn't surprise you if any of those guys ended up taking on the role this season.
Yeah. Again, I mean, Kaderil was gone for almost 5 days. Hollywood's really come on the last couple of days. We really don't know what Damian Ratley brings to the table right now in 2020. I mean, we know a little bit of the past body of work, but he's missed a ton of time. Donovan Peoples-Jones is a rookie. And, JoJo Natson and the rest of that crew, Mr. Taylor as well. Who knows what's going to happen? I think tomorrow could be a pretty big day maybe to determine how things look going into this final non-game week of practice. I mean, you've got 10 practices, if my math is correct, potentially, with 5 between Sunday and Friday, and then the following week it's game week starting on Monday, and you're in full-on game prep mode. So got to get some answers, got to start to fill things out here sooner rather than later.
And most importantly, in between then, you're making roster decisions. So you don't have 10 practices with all these guys. It's going to be those final 4 are going to be with the guys you're taking into the season. So I mean, it's one that I really have I don't have a true feel on that room at all right now. And I think there are some people you assume are going to be on the roster, but I've learned at this time you make no assumptions. And I think that it's anything can be on the table with those players. But I think we went into this offseason thinking, man, you could probably use some depth at the wide receiver position. But now you're like, there's a lot of guys there. And I think that's a testament to maybe the coaching O'Shea's done and maybe just the way that these players have responded to the challenge. I mean, there's been a lot of good playing out there so far from that position.
Yeah, it is a very deep room. That is for sure. That's what happened today out here in Berea. Time now for our interview of the day. Get to know you interview with new Brown safety Karl Joseph, an interesting guy and a guy whom a lot is expected of all of a sudden as Joseph works his way back from an injury last season. Gribble had a few minutes to sit down with the new Brown safety, have a watch, and have a listen.
Glad to be joined here now by new Brown safety Karl Joseph. Karl, what is your personal plan been like to get you back up to speed after the way your previous season ended?
I think the staff been doing a good job, man. The trainers, with Joe and his staff, and the communication wise to everybody just been on the same page. Their plan for me. Communicating that with me. So I think it's been a good plan. I've been kind of ramping up the past few weeks, couple days this week, taking a lot more reps and stuff like that. So, heading into week 1 that, I'm feeling good. There's no holdback, no setbacks, man. So I think those guys have done a great job with me.
And you were playing before your injury last year. You were playing maybe some of the best football of your career. I mean, how excited are you to get back and show that you're only getting better as a safety out there?
I have a lot to prove. I think this team has a lot to prove, so it's a perfect match. Like I said before, I always play with a chip on my shoulder, but this year is even more. With the way the season ended for me last year, and coming here is fresh start, for a new opportunity, man. I'm happy to be here. I feel blessed to be in this position, this opportunity with this team. So I'm just get everything I have, man, to show the world and show this organization that they did the right thing by giving me this opportunity.
And what was it like for your group this past week, losing Grant, and how much more pressure does that put on the rest of the group to step up now?
It was hard, man, to see him go down like that, freak injury. I know what it's like to be hurt and get injured, man. Especially a young guy, man, had before the season even starts. So I know how hard that is for him. That's what I care about more, man, just his mental. So we're gonna have to do a good job of staying in his corner, man, keeping him positive, because I know how hard that can be, especially being hurt during the season. But I think we've done a good job of stepping up guys that need to step up. That's football. It's unfortunate sometimes, you lose guys, and I think Grant was going to be a big part of this defensive team. So, the next guys got to be up, got to be ready. Nobody's going to come in here to save us. Nobody's going to feel sorry for us that we have injuries. Everybody have injuries. So, next guy up got to be ready to play.
Have you been encouraged by what you've seen from the secondary, even with all these injuries? Because it seems like you guys are making a lot of plays out there.
Yeah, for sure, man. I think that goes to the credit to the staff, our DB coaches, Coach Jeff and B Lynch, man. Those guys, those guys work hard, and Coach Woods, and they work hard to make sure we very detailed and know what we're doing. So we're just going out there and executing our job. So everybody's been kind of stepping up, man. We're getting better. We're not where we need to be yet, man, but we've been making strides, and we're getting better every practice, every week. So. As long as we keep going on that route, man, we're gonna be just fine.
And what kind of tandem do you think you and Andrew Sendejo can make back there, and the fact that both of you guys are veterans now?
I'm not big into talking about making predictions and all that, man. But I think just like me, Andrew has always been a guy his whole career, always played with a chip on his shoulder. So he's a vet. He's seen a lot of football. I've seen a lot of football at this point in my career. So we're communicating well. So we just gotta go out there and play, man. It's not too much to talk about. We just gotta go out there and handle business.
What's it like having a defensive coordinator like Joe Woods that obviously has a ton of knowledge and experience working with guys like you in the secondary?
It's good. Anytime you have a D coordinator that was DB coach, he's big. His emphasis is on the secondary. He's always coming in our rooms, making sure he's seeing what we're talking about and stuff like that, man. That's big for us because we know he's always going to put us in the best positions to be successful, and he's going to be detailed with what we're supposed to do and how to do our job. So I think it's been great for us.
When you had that practice like you did a couple weeks ago or a couple days ago, where you had a couple interceptions, how much does that do for your personal confidence and make it feel like, I am really ready for this season to get here?
It feels good, man. It sucks for me, with the way kind of how camp's been for me, not being able to get out there and get all the reps with my guys, but I know it's for my best interest. So just going out there and being able to get those reps and making some plays on the ball, kind of get my mind off the injury. I'm not thinking about it. I know I'm good. So it's definitely a low confidence builder. I feel good just being out there with my teammates, communicating, running around, and just having fun and playing the game that I love.
And for you, just what have you seen from this defensive line that is helping you guys out in the secondary by getting a lot of pressure on the quarterback so far?
It's been great, man. I don't think I've really ever played with a defensive line that's so talented all across the board, really like that, man. So it's definitely fun playing beyond those guys because we know they're gonna make our job a lot easier. So, I can't wait to get in the season and see how they start to wreck stuff. So it's been fun for sure.
And then the last one, just what are you expecting in that season opener? Just with Baltimore's already announced no fans, and you guys are going on a short training camp. What are you expecting when you get there and finally get on the field?
I expect it to be a very competitive game. They got a good team. We have a good team. Obviously with no fans, it's gonna be weird. It's gonna be different than what we used to. I don't think I've ever played with no fans since I've started playing football. So I've been playing football my whole life. So I'm sure that's gonna be a different experience. But at the end of the day, we gotta go out there and take care of business. If we playing the game, can't worry about nothing else that we can't control. We just gotta worry about everything that we can control. So, and that's going out there and playing, doing everything we can to win the game.
Well, Karl, I greatly appreciate you joining us, and good luck for the rest of the season.
I appreciate y'all having me. Thank you.
Thanks to Karl Joseph for his time. And Gribbs, you mentioned it. You asked him, and he said, I don't set expectations, but a lot is being expected of him and Mr. Sendejo as we get closer to this date in Baltimore to kick off the season.
Yeah, and I think he's someone that's anxious to get out there, and it seems like, based on us talking to him, he's been practicing every other day, but it sounds like he wants to get out there even more, and I think that he understands the restraints of the plan he's on, but I think it was tough to lose Grant Delpit. I think everyone acknowledges that, but if you could keep Sendejo and Joseph healthy and on the field and get some good performance out of Sheldrick Redwine, I think you're still okay at that safety spot. It's just a matter of keeping those guys in the field and getting them to play at a high level.
Yeah, that's Sheldrick Redwine has come on, and he impressed the other day when he talked to the media. He's made some plays, especially on special teams, and That safety room, the cupboard's not bare. All is not lost with Grant Delpit going down, but clearly Grant Delpit going down was a big hit to the defense as a whole and the plans for 2020.
Yeah, I think it's just, there's no way around like describing the Delpit injury. It's terrible. Like, it's just, he was going to do some things that I don't think there was backup plans for. So you're just going to have to adjust what you want to do defensively. And I think that you're not going to find a Grant Delpit on the waiver wire or getting someone in that has that kind of skill set. And so I just think you have to adjust with what you have and get those guys ready to at least play at the level that you want to see from your safety position. And I think we knew going into this year is going to be a big question marks, and there was question marks even with Delpit. And now it's just on those guys to perform at a high level. But the Joseph Sendejo combination, that's about a combined 15 years of experience in the NFL. So I think that's not bad to have as kind of the backup plan.
So tomorrow we move to First Energy Stadium for practice. Middle of the afternoon. Should be a beautiful day down on the lakefront. And obviously we're watching that wide receiver room, especially with the off day on Monday and then what they will come out with then on Tuesday for practice. What else are you looking for in this practice tomorrow, which is really mainly going to be a practice, maybe a little scrimmage at the end, but for the most part, this is going to be a practice.
Yeah, I'll be watching just to see. Maybe after all of our third wide receiver discussion, I'll be breaking down snaps and trying to figure out where that room stands. Because again, I'm as lost as anyone else in trying to predict what that group is going to look like. And I'll just throw this out there. I just want to keep seeing more Harrison Bryant. This guy has become the most fun guy to watch at training camp. Just makes a ton of catches. Made another big one today. And it seems like the practice we weren't at on Friday, we had some video footage of it, and he was productive, and he keeps making you think he's going to have a pretty significant role in this offense this year.
I think that's one of the things I'm looking forward to seeing. I'm looking forward to seeing that offensive line, especially if they do end up going with a little 11 on 11 in a game situation at the stadium, what that looks like, what that might feel like, who the backups might be for those positions. It will be nice to actually get the best vantage point that we've seen from any training camp practice here in 2020 and be able to see the formations and just kind of see what this offense might look like and how the defense is going to be setting themselves up here in 2020.
Yeah, I didn't even think about the great view. I mean, it'll feel like $1 million seats. I think that we'll really appreciate the vantage point we have now after kind of straining our necks one way or the other, trying to stand on chairs and see what's going on at training camp this year.
Yeah, no, that part will be really nice, and we'll get to see everybody. Yeah, this will be a big day tomorrow because this will kind of set the tone for how the week will go after a pretty crazy week, a very emotional week, and a week that has seen a lot of highs, a lot of lows, and just frankly a lot of craziness going on in the world and here in Berea. So
I said, knock on wood, I think Saturday was still about as normal of a day as we've had all week.
Yes. No, it was. It was totally. You mean I at first I was like, oh, yesterday. No, yesterday the wrath of God came for a good 8 hours. So I'm looking forward to seeing what tomorrow brings and excited to get back to First Energy Stadium just to get a little sense of normalcy, if for nothing else. We are back with you tomorrow after the practice. We will recap it for you on the best podcast available. Make sure you like and subscribe today to the best podcast available. Also, watch us on YouTube, youtube.com/Browns. Thanks to Jeff McDaniel for all of his help. For Andrew Gribble, I'm Jason Gibbs. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to the best podcast available.